Mangwana ni Malelepo Fukenjani, Kwas Vana Ve Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories, a space where the continent's headlines, heartbeats, and humanity converge. Today, we explore Tunisia's shocking death sentence over Facebook posts, Madagascar's defiant youth protests, and Morocco's Gen Z uprising demanding hospitals over stadiums. We also highlight a landmark UK paternity test involving Kenyan children of British soldiers and Brenda Beer's bold stand against her father in Cameroon. Our Zambia report will be delivered by Mike Sichula, bringing current affairs and sport, followed by major economic developments from South Africa and Mauritius. Watch Africa Good Morning on DSTV 35, GoTV 25, 1up2.com, and NTV Africa on YouTube. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly. It's time for us to get into the top stories on Africa Good Morning. A Tunisian court has sentenced a 56-year-old day laborer Saber Chouchane to death for social media posts deemed insulting to President Kais Saied and assaulting state security, according to his lawyer and the Tunisian League for Human Rights. The unprecedented ruling follows Saied's 2021 power grab, which tightened restrictions on free speech. Chouchane, described as a modest man with limited education, had written online criticisms of the president before his arrest last year. Now, his lawyer, Osama Boutaya, called the sentence shocking and said it has been appealed. The Justice Ministry has not commented. Although death sentences have been issued in Tunisia before, none have been carried out in over 30 years. Now, Chouchane's brother expressed disbelief and despair over the ruling, saying the family already suffers from poverty. The verdict has drawn widespread condemnation and ridicule online, with many viewing it as an attempt to silence dissent. Rights groups say Tunisia's judiciary has lost independence since Saied dissolved parliament and began ruling by decree, jailing opposition figures he labels as traitors. Moving on. Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina has pledged to listen to citizens and address national problems, but has ignored widespread calls for his resignation amid growing youth-led protests. The demonstrations, inspired by Gen Z movements in Kenya and Nepal, have become Madagascar's largest in years, fueled by anger over poverty, corruption, and worsening power and water shortages. Rajoelina disbanded his government earlier last week, hoping to calm unrest that began on September 25, but protests continue. The United Nations reported at least 22 deaths and more than 100 injuries, figures the government disputes. In a televised address, Rajoelina said he was ready to extend a helping hand and bring solutions, warning that no one benefits from the nation's destruction. He accused unnamed politicians of exploiting the crisis and plotting a coup while he was in New York for the UN General Assembly. Despite his appeals for dialogue, demonstrations resumed, with police firing tear gas in Antananarivo. Rajoelina, who first seized power through a 2009 coup, met various groups to discuss the turmoil. In our next story, related, thousands of young Moroccans have taken to the streets nightly, demanding hospitals and social reforms instead of billion-dollar stadium projects for the 2030 World Cup. The protest, led by Gen Z 212 through Discord, TikTok, and Instagram, began on September 27 across 10 cities under slogans like "No World Cup, Health Comes First." Anger erupted after 8 women died in a maternity ward in Agadir due to poor care. Demonstrators demand free education, accessible healthcare, affordable housing, better transport, and youth employment. Police have arrested over 400 protesters amid violent clashes that left 3 dead, 260 officers and 20 protesters injured, and dozens of vehicles torched. Prime Minister Aziz Akanamosha has offered dialogue, but protesters insist on concrete change. Many recall Morocco's 1981 bread riots and 2011 reform protests. Protesters emphasize that their movement is apolitical and leaderless, calling for peace while condemning looting. Despite fears, demonstrators vow to continue, saying Morocco must build its people before its stadiums, blending patriotism with frustration over inequality and neglect. In our next story, 7 Kenyans have won a landmark UK family court case proving they were fathered by British soldiers and contractors stationed at the British Army Training Unit in Kenya, Batuki. Using commercial DNA databases, lawyers identified the men's British fathers, making it the first UK case to confirm paternity through such evidence. The ruling allows the claimants to apply for British citizenship. Lawyer James Neto, working with geneticist Denise Sindercombe Court, led the project collecting DNA samples in Kenya's Nanyuki region. Claimant Peter Wambugu, a 33-year-old chef, said he was bullied as a child for being mixed race and has now met his father, who was unaware of his existence. Another claimant said she met her father once at age 4. Neto called the ruling a breakthrough, ending years of uncertainty for affected families. Campaigners hope the Ministry of Defense will take more responsibility for similar claims. The BBC has followed the story for an upcoming podcast exploring the children's search for identity and recognition. In the last of our top stories, Brenda Biya, the 27-year-old daughter of Cameroon's 92-year-old President Paul Biya, has shocked the nation by declaring in a viral TikTok video that she will not vote for her father in the October 12 election. Known for her luxury lifestyle, Brenda urged citizens not to vote for Biya, saying he has caused suffering. Her statement came as her father, in power for 42 years, seeks another term. Transparency International lists Cameroon as one of the most corrupt nations with widespread poverty despite decades of rule. Brenda later posted an apology calling her father a great man, though viewers suspected pressure. This was her second act of defiance after publicly coming out as a lesbian last year, an act punishable by up to 5 years in prison in Cameroon. A Swiss court case also revealed she lives at Geneva's 5-star Intercontinental Hotel, supported by her parents. Paul Biya's office has not commented. Critics say the election lacks fairness amid arrests and repression, with Biya's rule expected to continue. Shortly, we'll be joined by Mike Sichula as he delivers the Zambia report from Lusaka. But prior to that, it's the weather. It's now time for us to talk to our correspondent Mike Sichula as he delivers the news from Zambia. Mike Udibanji.
Mulibwanji, Africa, good morning to our dear viewers.
Tiri Bueno. I miss being in Zambia. But let's get straight into your stories. Zambia records sharp rise in stroke cases, and this is among young people, Mike.
Yes, quite something that is unusual because we've been made to believe that stroke usually affects people above their 40s and 50s. But this is a different case from the Kitwe Teaching Hospital, which has registered an increase in the number of cases of stroke, with 43% of 500 patients from January to August 2025 being young people. So according to hospital urologist Dr. Waria Mulenga, the hospital has patients ranging from 25 to 50 years suffering from stroke. So what he has said is that Dr. Mlenga has attributed the cases to HIV, renal problems, high blood pressure, untreated sore throats, and contraceptives. So he says these are some of the reasons why the number of young people who are affected by stroke has arisen because of untreated sore throats, HIV, as well as renal problems. So this is the reason that has been attributed. But the hospital is also putting in place measures to ensure that these young people are treated accordingly so that they can regain their full health. So it is news that has disturbed many Zambians because they look at stroke to be affecting people above their 40s. But when young people are being affected, it has posed a serious worry such that it has made headlines in Zambia.
That's a really harrowing report and plenty of reason for Zambians to stay aware, Mike. That's never something that you want to be able to, witness, 25 to 50-year-olds dealing with hypertension and strokes. So we certainly hope that that situation can be handled sooner rather than later. Speaking of handling situations, President Hichilema has appointed a committee, and this is to refine Zambia's constitution. Tell us more.
So the background to this story is that before this appointment of the technical committee, the executive has been pushing an agenda to reform the constitution through Bill 7. However, the way Bill 7 started, certain procedures were not followed, such that when two citizens took the matter to court, they won that case where the Constitutional Court ruled that advancing Bill 7 in its current form was illegal because it lacked a public consensus. So in replacing this Bill 7, the government of Zambia, through President Hakainde Hichilema, he has appointed a 25-member technical committee that will be tasked with the responsibility to receive submissions from members of the public on what they see must be refined in the Zambian constitution. So this 25-member committee is yet to sit and establish how they are going to conduct this process and how they are going to receive submissions from members of the public. And also, the government has not indicated the terms of reference of this committee. How long are they going to sit, and what time frame should they conclude the drafting the draft constitution from the submissions that they are going to receive? Because the concerns that many Zambians are raising is that this is coming less than a year before the 2026 general elections, meaning a lot of people will be occupied with the upcoming election, and they may not take full submissions of what they need to ensure that is included in the constitution. So these are some of the concerns, and they're hoping that the terms of reference that will be given to the committee will clearly explain when this committee should conclude its work and whether if it is going to go beyond the 2026 general elections in August next year.
Yes, Mike, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that, and without a doubt, PF supporters will have a lot to say about that. Anytime that Hichilema's name has been mentioned next to the Constitution, people have gotten a little itchy. So we'll see how everything unfolds in the real Africa. Now, in your next story, Ghanaian arrested in Lusaka for obtaining teacher benefits fraudulently. How did this unfold?
Well, quite an interesting story. and a lot of questions remain to be answered. So the Drug Enforcement Commission has charged Ghanaian citizen Morris Nyaku. He obtained over $8,325 from the Zambian government by pretending to be an expatriate teacher in a government school. So this was discovered during a verification exercise conducted by authorities, and they established that he has been drawing money from the Zambian government, pretending to be an expatriate teacher at a government named school, when in fact he was not even a teacher who should have been given money as an expatriate. So this matter has created suspicion to say, how did he manage to get all the documentations to support that he is an expatriate? Could there be some people within the system, that is the Ministry of Education and other departments of government, that might have been also be benefiting from him drawing this amount of money amounting to over 8,000 United States dollars? And without this verification exercise, maybe he may not have been caught, and he could have continued to be drawing money from government illegally. So it is a story that people are asking to say, why, how long has he been doing this? And is he the only one, or there could be other people? And they are calling for thorough investigations in order to ensure that if there are any other people drawing money from government illegally, they must be arrested and made to account for their crimes.
All right, Mike, in the last of your sports stories, some good old Zambia Kuchalo as Miracle Chipito wins silver at World MMA Championships.
Yes, Miracle competed in the women's flyweight category in the final, she did exhibit some great skill against Polish opponent, despite missing out on grabbing gold in Georgia. So she advanced to the finals with a good and commanding fight, making her the first Zambian female fighter to advance to the World Championship finals. Then aside this achievement, in 2024, she won bronze during the World Championships in Uzbekistan. So her rise to fame, Miracle Chipito, is not something that has been easy, because she's been training so hard in this relative new sport in Zambia, and her determination to fight and remain within the frames of MMA sports has led to Miracle Chipito getting a silver medal at the World Championships that recently took place in Georgia. And this, according to her, when she advanced to the finals, she praised that she wanted to grab gold and should do all it would take for her to grab gold and bring to Zambia. However, it was not going to be, because she met a Polish opponent who exhibited some of the skills that Chipito could not manage to handle. But nevertheless, her winning silver at the World Championship is something that has attracted the comment from the Ministry of Sports through Minister Elvis Nkando, who congratulated her and assured that government is going to promote this sport and support this sport, which is relatively new on the Zambian scene.
Thank you very much, Mike, for delivering the Zambia report.
Thank you very much, and I wish to inform our dear viewers that probably during this week we're going to share some information, the latest information from the Edgar Lungu barrio, as the Zambian government and the Lungu family have allowed to set a date when negotiations are going to start for him to Paris. Then lastly, I wish to congratulate Arsenal, and I was hoping that you are going to congratulate Manu for winning as well. Africa, good morning to us.
Thank you very much, Mike. This is 2Africa Good Morning. We'll head into economic news.
Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Riza Quayo.
Let's do with Africa. Good morning. Let's get into economic news. South African billionaire Jannie Mouton plans a $417 million education takeover. Let's get into it. South African billionaire Jannie Mouton is leading a 7.2 billion rand, equivalent of $417.48 million plan to acquire Curro Holdings, the nation's largest private school network, through his philanthropic foundation. The founder of PSG Group aims to delist Curro from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange by December 2025 and convert it into a public benefit organization. The deal would give shareholders a 60% premium paid through cash. Capitec and PSG Financial Services shares Mouton's foundation, which already owns 3% of Curro, intends to reinvest profits into building new schools, expanding infrastructure, and funding bursaries to make private education more accessible. Shareholders are scheduled to vote on October 31, with approval leading to delisting soon after. Mouton has previously backed major firms such as Capitec Bank and PSG Financial Services. He called the acquisition a landmark move for South Africa's education sector, marking what could become Africa's largest education-focused investment. The initiative seeks to redefine access and equality in private schooling across South Africa. Iconic indeed. Moving on. Mauritius selected to host Africa's new credit ratings agency, AFCRA. It is set to reshape financial independence. Mauritius has officially been chosen to host the headquarters of the Africa Credit Rating Agency, a new continental initiative aimed at providing alternative assessments of repayment risk. The agency, established by the African Union, plans to begin operations by the second quarter of next year, after an initial delay from its earlier target launch. AFCRA will operate as a fully African-owned private sector entity, maintaining independence while focusing on rating local currency debt to strengthen domestic capital markets and reduce exposure to foreign exchange risk. Now, according to Marie-Antoinette Rose Katk, Chief Executive of the African Peer Review Mechanism, the agency's mission aligns with promoting financial justice across the continent. While Mauritius will serve as the agency's main jurisdiction, other regional subsidiaries are also under consideration. African leaders have long criticized the dominance of international firms such as Moody's, S&P, and Fitch, which control 95% of global ratings, for often misrepresenting Africa's economic realities. AFCRA's launch represents a significant move toward homegrown financial credibility and self-determination within Africa's investment landscape. So those have been our stories on Africa. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the 6th of October as we start off this fresh week. Today, some of the stories that we looked at included Tunisia's shocking death sentence over Facebook posts, Madagascar's defiant youth protests, and Morocco's Gen Z uprising demanding hospitals over stadiums. We also highlighted a landmark UK paternity case involving Kenyan children of British soldiers and Brenda Beer's bold stand against her father in Cameroon. Our Zambia report was delivered by Mike Sichula, bringing current affairs as well as sport. And of course, we ended with Jannie Mouton's iconic investment that is lined up for South African education, as well as Mauritius hosting Africa's very own credit agency. So This has been the show. DSTV 285, GoTV25, oneup2.com, on oneup2.com. If you click the echo icon, you can watch this episode and other NTV programs at your own time, because on OneUp2 Echo Primetime is anytime. My name is Ashwin Berry. This has been Africa Good Morning. Tomorrow we swing back with news from Zimbabwe as well as broader Africa. Swera Jaganaka.